We're still spinning, and welcome to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. We are back after an extended weekend. We're going to talk about the IHOP challenge. I have a friend who is doing it today. We're going to explain to you what it is, and we're going to discuss strategy because it took over my Saturday night with a group of friends trying to figure out how you would actually complete it. Passwords and notifications. I didn't tell you. I kept this one a secret. Most common passwords, the 20 most common passwords were leaked, and I'm going to see if you can guess what they are. Most common passwords. We're going to get to it. I hadn't thought of that one. Why did I not think of that one until you just said it?
I think that's number one.
You think that's going to be number one?
I think it is.
Okay, we'll see. And then March Madness, obviously it was a crazy weekend. Top 6 schools losing. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Before we get to all of that today, Mark, how are you feeling today?
I feel good. How's that?
That was good.
Tomorrow's March. Well, we're like, it's just our season came to an end Friday.
Sure.
There's always this, whenever something, there's a thing of like rebirth.
Okay.
And like Saturday, I kind of did a whole lot of nothing. I did a little bit of work, and I went to the gym. But then like, I don't know how you are when you get done with the season.
Exhausted.
Yes, but there's all these things that have built up that I haven't had time to do.
Sure.
And now I am ready to kind of like dive back into the rest of the world.
Okay.
That I didn't have time for.
Okay.
So Saturday was a lot. I did, like, when you do this and you do real estate, like, you don't have many days off where you don't have anything.
Okay.
And so Saturday I did some stuff, but I did a lot. I watched a lot of college basketball. I laid around a lot on Saturday.
Okay.
And then come Sunday, like, I'm ready. I'm ready for spring. Tomorrow's March. Again, tomorrow.
Yeah.
On our New Year's resolutions that start March 1st.
Yeah.
I have to go by. I think I'm a Flonase guy. I don't remember if I'm Flonase or Nasonex, but I have to go get some today so I can start my regimen.
You've surpassed my thought, so I'm going to backtrack now.
Backtrack.
Here's where, like, whether you're an accountant, someone who does taxes, right? Because there's a heavy season.
If you're gonna play,
yes,
anything.
Any profession or hobby or whatever it is you do, where there is very clearly a chunk of the year where it's just you're just trying to get to the other side of it. Here's what I've noticed is nothing changes once it's over. What changes for me is my stress level doing those things. So, for example, like, this is going to be corny. Right now, laundry is just a nightmare. Like, oh my God, I have to do this laundry. And like, it's going to take this much time. And like, after a season ends, laundry is nothing. Like, it's just like, all right, like, I guess we'll go do laundry. And it's like, the stress of everything else is just alleviated because you just don't have this thing looming over you that you've got to be there and it's scheduled and all that stuff. So the day-to-day doesn't change, but the stress of everything else of the day-to-day is just alleviated.
Well, but you find yourself with so much more time.
Yes. Yep.
But I do agree with you. I think I might have told you this when I was in the play that I was in. One night I sat down to write for, a story of my own that I was working on. And I remember I did it for like 15 minutes, and I said to myself, what are you doing? You need to learn your lines.
Sure.
And so there's an aspect, too, when you are in whatever, whether it's a sports season, whether it's a theater season, whether it's tax season, whether it's hunting season, whatever it is that has its window.
Okay.
Maybe we don't do other things because we feel too guilty doing those other things. And we're like, right now, I need to be doing this.
Yeah.
I have the rest of the year to do that.
That's true.
So maybe that's part of it.
I agree. I've gotten better at, this is, I think, my 11th season helping out. I have gotten significantly better now. As when I was in my 20s, I just blocked out the world during basketball season. Like, I just didn't see family, like, everything. I have gotten better in the last 4 or 5 years where, like, I don't block out the things. I still do everything I would have done not in basketball. Again, it's just that time crunch, right? Like, it's just trying to figure out how to jam all these things in. But like, when I first started coaching, the only way I really, like, kind of mentally compartmentalized everything is I would just kind of put stuff off, like, to what you're like, I would just like, no, I'll see you in March, or like, in March, I'll handle it. But now, like, I've gotten much better at being able to, like, set it aside and, like, I'm going to go see my nieces today, or I'm going to go, so I've gotten better at that.
Maybe
but it's not easy.
The reason that so many of these relationships
Oh yeah, first that's without a doubt. Before today, had you heard of the IHOP challenge?
I had not. Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
you had heard of it.
You texted me
Yes, okay. Before yesterday, had you
Not
heard of
before
it?
yesterday.
Okay, so the IHOP challenge, before we talk about who's doing it and their predicament, the IHOP challenge, you must stay in the restaurant for 24 hours. However, every pancake you eat takes an hour off your time. What would be your strategy? How long would it take? If you're listening and you have a strategy, please comment, because this consumed my Saturday evening with a dozen or so friends. This literally was the conversation for over half an hour.
You won't appreciate this because you're too young.
God.
This is a Cheers episode.
Probably.
This is Cliff and Norm sitting at the bar.
Debating how to do it.
Discussing how to do this.
I believe, and then what's her name ends up winning it. The tiniest one would end up winning the competition. Yes, would end up. Yes, she would end up winning it if it was a Cheers episode. There is a friend of mine. I coached Kyle Datres is at an IHOP in State College right now. Anyone who remembers Kyle Datres, he was a baseball, football, basketball player at Loyal Sock. He ended up playing for North Carolina Tar Heels, and he is now in the Colorado Rockies. Yes, he's in the Colorado Rockies organization. He finished last place in his fantasy football league.
Loser!
And his punishment is he now has to do the IHOP challenge. So while at dinner with him on Saturday, this came up, and just 1,000 different concepts, ideas, how they would do it. I thought I had a decent strategy, but after receiving messages from him today, I think I have completely underestimated this challenge.
Well, remember, it is 24 hours minus an hour for each pancake.
Yes.
So you could go eat scrambled eggs, but you're there 24 hours.
Correct.
But if you don't want to sit in IHOP for 24 hours, how many? And if you are trying to take time off, do you go Joey Chestnut and just shovel them down as fast as you can? So
a couple of things that because Kyle did his Google research before the dinner. One of the things that Kyle said is everything he read is you just have to eat as much as you can right from the get-go. Because they said once you're sitting there, the smell, the food gets cold. They were like, you just have to, from the gate, go do as much as you can. Because there's no guarantee you'll be able to rev it back up again. That's what he read about on Google.
Wait, so you don't reorder? They don't.
Oh no, you can reorder, but it's still the idea of let's say, you get a stack or whatever, and then you get your second stack. If you can't finish the second stack, it's just sitting there.
I understand.
You can't, you're not going to be able to bring out a fresh stack when you didn't finish the one in front of you.
That makes sense.
So the whole concept, everything he read. So this was my strategy, and again, I have realized after talking with him, I think I might have been off, but I think this is more a mental challenge than a physical challenge. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yes, because I think it's more your approach. If you go in with the mindset that I'm going to get out of there in 12 hours or I'm going to get out of there in 14 hours, now you put pressure on yourself.
Okay, so I am not implying that I would be successful. I just said this would be I think this is what I would try to do. I think in the first 4 hours, I would be ordering a stack of 5 on the hour, every hour. And I think when the first stack came out, I'm just trying to compress it. I'm 2 hands pushing the pancakes down on top of each other, trying to get them as tight together as possible. You dislike this already. So I said, only butter, no syrup. I think the syrup would be too filling. I don't know if you could do it. I feel like it would end up hurting you. Here's my other question to you. Can you do
distracts from the deliciousness?
I know, but here's the other question. Can you do syrup without a liquid? Because I feel like if you're eating syruped pancakes, you have to have a drink, and that's not going to help.
Joey Chestnut drink a lot? Oh,
he dips it, which is different. So I feel like the syrup, not only is it going to fill you up more, I feel like it's going to force you to drink, which is only going to fill you up more. Okay, so now understand, this is completely psychological because I realize just because you compress 5 pancakes, it's still 5 pancakes. And I understand that. So I think the first 5 or 10 minutes it comes out, I'm compressing it down, a little bit of butter, and then I spend the next 45 minutes finishing my compressed stack of pancakes. And I think I'm trying to do that the first 4 hours, and I'm out.
I think death would be imminent.
Do you think so?
I don't know. This would be my strategy.
Okay.
I would accept the fact that when I went in, and of course I would be starving when I walked in the door.
Sure.
When I walk in the door, I am going to eat 3 or 4 pancakes, and then I am going to be in IHOP for 18 hours. And I am going to somewhere throughout the day. At the middle of the day, I might just eat fruit. I might not be able to eat pancakes again. And I would sit there with my laptop and I would see, can he pick the day?
He picked today. I believe he picked today to do it.
I wonder why he picked a Monday.
Probably just nothing to do.
See, this is what I would have done.
Less people there, probably.
I would have waited until championship week. So I had a whole day of college basketball to watch.
And do.
Or I would have done it on a Saturday where I had a whole day of college basketball to watch.
But see, you're looking.
I would have just sat there.
Yeah, you're looking at this from the perspective of almost ignoring the pancake side of this.
Correct.
Okay.
You're trying to beat the clock.
I'm trying.
I would have totally accepted.
You would have just accepted the clock, and it is what it is.
I would have had a couple. I would have enjoyed the pancakes. Because see, like you've lost with no syrup. Oh my God, is a pancake even edible with no syrup?
If you throw some butter on it, it's edible. I mean, it depends to how motivated are you. Like you just said, like if I have a reason to sit there and I'm watching something and it's like whatever, like sure. But if you're like motivated to get out of there, like there's much worse things to eat than a buttered pancake.
No, I get it. That's what I would have just sat there and wrote it through.
Okay.
I would have had ways to watch a movie on my laptop. So do the IHOP, I mean, he obviously cleared this with them first, right? Did he talk to the man?
He said what he was going to do is he was going to tell the waiter or waitress that essentially, just so you know, I'm going to be here all day. If you leave, let me know so I can tip you before you go. Okay. But he did not, it's not like he called up and said like, hey, I'm doing this thing.
Okay.
But I think, but he's not the only one. I mean, IHOP, this is the point I'm making. IHOP is used to this.
Okay.
Like, I doubt this is the first person at the State College IHOP to ever attempt to do this.
So yeah, that would be mine. Because I agree with you. It is mental. It's your expectations going in. It's your mindset going in. It's like if you go golfing. If you get to number 1 and you're just ready to have a good day, then at the end of number 1 you're gonna have a good day. If you get to number 1 and you need to make par. And
sure.
You don't. You just set yourself up for 17 more holes of misery. So, yeah, I would go in. I can't imagine. What I can imagine is the cooks making the pancakes extra big.
Big, because they know you're about to do it?
I can't imagine eating more than, of a real, IHOP pancake, eating more than 6 or 7
I know.
24 hours.
I don't disagree with that.
Oh,
I know. I think I would still try though. I think I would go in 5 in a stack, compress them, and just those first 4 hours, just go for it.
What are you? Will you puke? Are there puke rules?
Eventually, I would assume, but I don't know that.
Because Joey Chestnut, you're not allowed to puke
well, you're not allowed to puke on the stage. Well, you don't think Joey Chestnut has ever puked after the competition?
I don't know. I never even thought of it. Maybe. Probably.
I would imagine most of them go. I mean, I don't know this for a fact. I would imagine most of them do. You don't think they go back
I never even thought of it. I don't want to talk.
No. I may be ignorant, but if those are chocolate chip pancakes, I don't think I would be spending more than 3 hours there. So he must really like the IHOP chocolate chip pancakes.
Just all the batter just sitting in 24 chocolate chip pancakes. Oh, and 21. It's 3 hours.
How high?
I hate chocolate chip pancakes. As much as I like chocolate chip cookies,
yeah,
I know they're your favorite. I don't know if they're my favorite. A good chocolate chip cookie is delicious. I don't like chocolate chip pancakes.
Well, I don't love pancakes, but I'm just thinking to myself, I'm trying to picture what, I'm trying to think of other things that I eat at a full setting. Like when I have a full thing of pasta at Olive Garden, how many is that comparative to 8 pancakes, 10 how close do you think that is? You don't think so?
I just think a couple pancakes.
Really?
Aren't the pancakes huge?
I don't think they're like the Dolly's pancake. I think they're your average pancake.
I I don't know. I'm just picturing something that takes up the whole plate.
No, there's no way. I think these are. I think he said they were 5.5 inches. If only we had a device that you could find out anything from.
I'd be out in an hour.
Average size. Yeah, these are not like your full out thing. See, you're used to like the Wayne Sport, like saucer, like fill it up.
That's what I was picturing.
No, that can't be the case.
Why not?
See, this airport too, just no liquids. I think that's one of the other really key things to this. You think so? I think you almost have to.
I think you do.
Yeah, so the standard diameter of an IHOP pancake is supposed to be 5.5 inches.
Oh. Well, that changes it.
So is this, how long is this pen?
Well, a paper is 8.5 by 11.5.
Yeah. So this pen, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be done in minutes.
Yeah. I think Cliff agrees with me. You're telling me you couldn't eat 5 pancakes an hour for 5 hours. Just roll them up and throw them down. Stretch between.
Wait, stretch between?
Stretch between. Well, you gotta stretch. You can't be stagnant. You can't be stagnant. Everyone knows that.
Things?
Everyone knows that.
You have to stretch.
So now that you know they're 5.5 inches, what do you think?
Oh, now it's different. But again, I would go in starving. So right when I get there, I'm ordering.
But see, even that though, isn't there like a thing to that? Maybe it's like what is it, wives' tale or whatever. There's something to the idea that like starving yourself, you actually end up eating less than you do like if you just show up on like a normal stomach.
Maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
My strategy would be starve yourself, go in, eat, and then I would play it by ear the rest of the way. But I would be mentally prepared to be there for 16 hours.
16? You don't think you could get to 12?
Maybe.
Even if you did,
mentally prepared.
If you did a stack of
above and beyond is great.
If you did a stack of 4 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that would get you down to 12 hours.
Okay.
Maybe. Do you think you could do that?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't know. I'm not as tough as you are.
Yeah, that's what it is. Here are the passwords and notifications. So this story just came out. These are the 20 most common passwords leaked on the dark web. Make sure none of them are yours. Obviously, I don't want you to tell people like your password or anything else like that. Do you have like a system? Like I'm weird. Like I have like a very set way that I pick my passwords.
Did you explain this to me before? You're not weird. You're smarter than the rest of us. Because like right now, I have passwords that I can't get. I think that
you can't remember them, or
I don't know how to switch it. I bought, and what's really crazy to me is I had a couple that I knew, and I knew them, and then I went to need them again, and I don't know them apparently.
And you still can't remember
and
them.
now I can't remember. So
yeah,
I suck. And they always say write them down somewhere, but
you never do.
If you lose your list, or if someone else finds your list, or if you lose, that just seems dangerous to me.
No, I know. I'm with you. So you don't have you struggle. You don't have a system. I have like a whole sequence, and then I will add things on to the sequence as they have to be renewed. Like you know how like it's been 6 months, like update your, and so then I just go through the sequence until I hit the right one, and then every so often I will completely start from scratch with a new sequence. So I will go through and I will reset every single one to that sequence and then start from the beginning again. So I always, even if I don't know it, if I just keep going down the line of sequences, and this is the trick, you don't just add on to the end, because that's what most people do. Like they just add like a 1, or they add you have to come up with phrases in the middle that you can then swap in and out and like add to your sequence. It's the best advice I've ever given to people about their passwords. Come up with a sequence and then just add to the sequence every time you have to reset your password.
And once again, I will say, this is why you're smarter than the rest of us.
I'm not smarter than the rest of us, but
I am the one who clicked forgot password. Please send me a renewal link, and then I have to come up with another.
So,
I will give you another one. Have you of course seen Spaceballs?
Have I of course seen Spaceballs? Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, that's what you would go with.
That's one of the passwords.
Okay, on this list, it definitely is. So there is, according to a new report from mobile security firm Lookout, These are the 20 passwords most commonly found in leaked account information on the dark web. So there's 20 here. What do you think is the most commonly used password?
Password.
It is not. And to make it even crazier, it's not in the top 3. Because I would have thought the same thing. I would have thought password was top 3. But it is not.
I don't know. I don't even have a good guess.
Really?
Apple ID.
As the password?
Yeah.
So the number 1 most common password is 1234556.
Is it? Okay.
It is. That's number 1. Number 2 is 123456789. Now number 3, I wouldn't have guessed. QWERTY. So QWERTY, QWERTY, which threw me off for a second, but I did the exact same thing you just did. It's the letters directly below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 4 is password.
Okay.
Lowercase or uppercase P.
Oh.
Uppercase.
Upper.
Yep. Uppercase password. And then there's some other ones. 111111 made the list as well. I'm just trying to go through here and find like the most common ones. Number 10 was 1Q2W3E. So just keep alternating those whole things.
Can I say that again?
It was 1Q2W3E.
Okay.
Yeah. So just keep alternating those top numbers and top letters. Default is number 12.
Oh, there you go.
Default's pretty good. 15 is one. This would have been one of my guesses for top 3, and I would have been wrong. 15 was ABC123, and that I would have made that I would have thought that would have been one of the higher ones. Number 19 and number 20 are interesting. Number 19 was I love you, spelled out.
Okay.
I just can't believe that there's that many people that's like a common thing. I wonder if there's a book or a movie reference that I don't know.
No.
You don't think so? You think people would just use I love you? Just that would be like the first thing. And then number 20 is all 6s. So there you go.
That's funny.
So if those are any of your passwords, you should probably get rid of them. They're on the list of the top 20 most common passwords. No.
Well, I wonder if the I love you, now that we've gone through, 2 decades of needing passwords, if it used to be I love you, Jenny, and then it was I love you, Susie, and then it was I love you, and then it just became I love you.
Yeah.
And they stopped. It's like the tattoo names on the arm that they keep getting crossed out.
Right.
The relationships come and go.
Yeah.
Maybe it just ended up with I love you.
That's possible. What was that? Remember I wanted the ring sleeve? Do you remember ring sleeve? So you knew how many times people had said I do. No, then we could do that. The other thing about passwords, and I didn't know this, but it also says it in here. Have you ever seen the memes that say like, find out your leprechaun name or find out what your stripper name would be?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen those? I did not know this until this morning. Those are commonly used to find out people's passwords.
Because it asks maiden name.
As says your stripper name is your blank plus your maiden name or your first car. Yes. Yeah. And it just never dawned on me. Yeah. Now, thankfully, I've never replied to one of those, but that makes a ton of sense.
And I always thought of this, and I don't mean to insult all the people who have. Do you know how bored you have to be to reply to one of those memes that's like, name your first pet's name and the street you lived on, and that's your stripper name. And you're like, yeah. Like, oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Like, those are the things online that drive me insane. When it's just like, oh, I'm bored, so play with me.
Sure.
And here, I'm going to put this something out and respond. And I totally appreciate the ones that people are looking for something like a recommendation. We need a restaurant. We need this. We need a
well, because you're helping. It's different. You're helping someone. I'm curious of this because you don't post every day. However, you do post bi-weekly almost. Like once every 2 weeks, you'll put like some long, like 2 or 3 paragraph. Yes. And you'll put it. When you post that, do you expect people to comment?
Yes.
Okay. Are you intentionally, is the long form because you're expecting a dialogue? Like you are expecting people to interact and comment and like be a part of it?
Not really.
This is a part that that's completely, you're better at this than I am. I've never viewed social media as like a forum. I've never viewed it. I always viewed it as if I'm posting something, it is for you to see, and vice versa. If you post something, it is for me to see. I have never viewed it as like an interaction. Like it's very rare, few and far between, that I comment or throw something down. I commented on somebody's Facebook post the other day, and I got a text message like 2 minutes later, like, I can't believe you actually said something. Like, so like it is funny.
Now mine, generally speaking, I'm just trying to get a laugh.
Okay.
That something's happened that I thought was funny, and I, try to share it. So yeah, more I get a lot more like likes and laughy faces than I do comments. Unless some of them kind of lead to it.
But you do, like, a part of it is kind of like a dialogue may come from this or comments may come from this, and that's kind of what we're going for here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I take mine more, because mine are usually like there are times that something happens and I think, oh, that's going to be a Facebook post.
Yeah.
But I let it marinate. So I kind of try to do it from it's almost like a short story.
Yeah.
That I'm trying to get. I'd much rather have, I get a lot more enjoyment when someone tells me, like, I got a text from someone this weekend.
Sure.
That said, oh, by the way, your posts have been funny lately.
Yeah.
And which, of course, my response is, what do you mean lately?
Lately?
Like,
yeah.
Were the old ones not
You were
funny?
slacking before.
But that's more of my thought. Like my daughter sent me something yesterday in our interaction that made me laugh, and I think it would make other people laugh, and I don't know.
But you're essentially creating content with the idea that like people will engage with this thing. And what's so funny is like I'm so bad at that. It's like one of the things I've tried to do this year, for like years, I would scroll through Instagram and not like anything. Like it just never dawned on me to like hit the heart or like, it didn't. Like but I loved it. Like I would like, oh, so-and-so's having a baby, like so-and-so's getting married, so-and-so. And it was great. And I would look at it like daily, but it just like the idea of like engaging with it just never, like there's just a gap there. I can't explain it. I'm just not great at it.
No.
So what happens then is when I create, like when I post, I'm really bad at creating posts that would be like engaging, because I don't really post, like I don't engage. So why would I create something for someone else to engage? Like that's not what it's for.
No, I do get it. Well, and I think I might have told you this. Most of my posts are about funny things that happen with my kids. Because when you get to my age, that like the one thing that's almost universal between everyone is the kids, or at least nieces and nephews, and that they can relate in a way.
Sure.
And so we got to the point where my daughter, who's now a senior, but she would be like, she said she'd be walking down the hall and the teacher would be like, hey, I saw your dad post about you. And she's like, I'm not on Facebook. I don't get it. So my daughter actually joined Facebook just so she could read the post that I was posting about her. And then we came to an agreement when she was about 16 or 17 that I was not allowed to post anything that involved her without her first having the right of refusal to prove it.
Sure.
So that has become part of the world of like, hey, here's my post. Do you want to read it? Now, when she got accepted to college, I was given a time.
Sure.
I couldn't post it until she wanted to order a shirt that said Vassar, because that's what she wanted. So I couldn't post it until she had a shirt, because she wanted to put up an official post that said this is where she was going, but she didn't have any merch.
Yeah, she didn't want you to jump the gun.
So, but then once she got it and once she announced it, she told me when she wanted mine, either tonight or tomorrow, because of whatever.
But, makes sense.
So yeah.
Makes sense. Leona says you can't trust anything. We're getting to that point. We were good. There's a really clever video going around right now. It's like a 30-second video. It's on like Instagram and TikTok. And it's a guy who just keeps faking you out. So like he has like a cup of tea, but there's really no tea. And then like the cup isn't.
Is that like the sugar pour thing?
Maybe. And then the cup isn't actually a cup. It's like a piece of cardboard.
Okay.
And then like his thing is just a reflection. And then the reflection is actually just a video. And it's like, and it just keeps everything about it is just fake until you end up with this. It's not even like the original person anymore.
Okay.
And the whole concept is just like if you're believing anything right now, you seriously need to question it. Like you need to just question everything. It was very clever, very well done. I think it exaggerates our situation a little bit, but the point was well taken. It made me chuckle.
That is cool. And by the way, not to totally go off on a tangent, I watched probably the last half plus of Free Guy again.
Uh-huh.
Really, really good.
Oh yeah, fantastic,
really
fantastic. Find out what Disney princess you are. Enters all security questions. You are Ariel, completely ignorant of how this human world works. Oh, yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's legit. Do you want to give your? We're at the 30-minute mark now. We said we were going to have a smooth 30 minutes. Do you want to give your 45-second March Madness?
Well, yeah. For anyone that Saturday, the top 6 teams in the country lost.
Yep.
And 7 of the top 10. Worst. It was the worst day in college basketball history,
or the best, depending on who you were.
Now the crazy thing is, you and I were talking about beforehand, obviously they make these schedules out however far in advance.
Yeah.
They have no idea who's going to be ranked when
sure.
it happens. And it just so happened that the top 6 teams all played on Saturday, and they all were on the road.
Yeah.
So of these losses, there was none that you were like, oh my God, like Purdue lost at an unranked Michigan State who's been struggling a little bit.
But it's Michigan
State. State doesn't suck.
Right.
And they lost by 3. Like
sure.
But so what are the that Gonzaga was on the road against the best team in their conference.
St. Mary's. Yeah.
And just like it was the perfect storm, and they still all lost.
Yeah.
Auburn was playing at Tennessee. Kentucky was at Arkansas, I want to say. Arizona was at, I don't remember who Arizona lost to. But it was like, this wasn't, Duke losing at home to NC State.
Sure.
These were all legitimate. When you looked at it, you're like, hey, they could lose today.
Right.
It's just shocking that the top 6 all lost.
That it worked out the way it did.
In the history of college basketball.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I think March Madness, this is the first time in a couple of years that like I don't think it's going to be chalk. Like I used to make fun of people who just didn't take the higher seeds, just put them in like the last couple of years. But this year, like it is, I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be chaotic.
Well, I think too that when you've talked about some of the blue bloods that are going to struggle. Now we see Kentucky's good again, Kansas is good again. They're not all, but. I think there's one ranked team in the ACC right now that's Duke.
Yeah. And
the balance of power, when you look at SEC schools and even all these smaller schools, like Murray State is ranked.
Yep.
Did they lose or did they come back to win the other night? But Gonzaga's been there a bunch. But, there's more teams they're in the WAC, right? Or are they not in the WAC? What conference is Gonzaga and St.
I don't know. It's West Coast. It might be the WAC.
Than they are in the ACC.
Right.
And, who would have ever thought that before?
Yeah.
But, there's more schools ranked in the state of Texas. Texas is there, Baylor's there, Texas Tech is there. Is that it? Is that something you ranked?
Yeah.
So anyway, it is a crazy season, and it's what makes.
It is bonkers. I just saw, maybe we can end the show on this. I just saw Texas Tech. Have you, their old head coach left for Texas. Do you know about this story at all? I believe his name was Chris Beard.
Okay.
So he was at Texas Tech. They went to the Final Four. They've been one of the best defenses in the country for a while now. He left, took the job at Texas. They brought in somebody else. The student body and the Texas Tech fans are like relentless on this Beard guy for leaving. They are just relentless. The other day, they basically took over the Texas basketball arena. It was a sea of black and red for Texas Tech. Somehow they hacked into the student coding system or something, and then they just ran out of tickets. And so it was like a home game for Texas Tech at Texas. and Texas Tech swept Texas. And it is so like this student body, like these fans, like they will not let go of the fact that this coach left. Like they are tormenting him.
What's funny is I used to actually work with a girl who they were from Texas, and they were Texas Tech people.
Okay.
And in the entire, it's like here. Here, you are either a Penn State fan, or there's a reason that you're a Temple fan, or a Pitt fan, or a Villanova. You know what I mean? It's especially in football. And so there's everybody else, and then there's you. And the people at Texas Tech hate Texas. They hate the University of Texas.
Yes.
Because they are the poor stepchild that never gets any love.
Yes.
Even when they had, what's his name was there? Mahomes.
Okay.
Was a Texas Tech guy. And so even, they just.
So can I read this to you? Because this hits the nail on the head. So Texas Tech men's basketball fans take aim at Texas box office, prompting a sales halt. Saturday marks the first in University of Texas history. The Longhorns are refusing to make money. Capitalism at UT isn't dead, just taking the day off. Texas officials have halted all public ticket sales for the Texas Tech men's basketball rematch after it became apparent that crafty Red Raider fans were using a specific online code to buy all the tickets they could through UT's box office website. So I'm telling you, it was a home game for Texas Tech. Crazy.
So, and you have to understand that even though no one wants to be the poor stepchild. So say Pitt makes the BCS and they're in the Final Four, and then Penn State looks at their coach and says, "Oh my God, you must have done great things.
Sure.
You won at Pitt. Let's come to Penn State," which is obviously a better job and it's more money and all that stuff. And then, but you can understand why the people at Pitt would be like, "Hey, you were winning here.
Sure.
We were better than them.
Yes.
We were already better than them. Why are you going there?" So Texas Tech's a Final Four team, and they're saying to Beard, "We were better than them, and they will hate." Now, if he would have gone across the country like Jimbo Fisher,
I don't think they would have
Florida
cared.
State to Texas A&M, but it would have been better because they would have played.
Sure.
If he would have taken the job at the University of Florida, he's an afterthought.
Sure.
But because he went from Texas Tech to Texas, shame on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pretty interesting. And then we can end on this one, too. Local Caitlin Clark. Have you watched her yet?
No.
I believe she plays for Iowa. Correct me if I'm wrong, whoever posted that. I believe she plays for Iowa. She is like the Stephen Curry of women's basketball right now in the NCAA. This is not a lie. She is like, you know how on high school courts, like where the volleyball line would be? So you have like the top of the key. I mean, she is bombing it from logos on basketball courts, like off the dribble, like sprinting up, hitting it 40 feet out, knocking it down. It is bonkers if you haven't seen Caitlin Clark play basketball yet.
Well, she's obviously a guard. How big is she? She little?
No, I mean she's probably pushing 6 foot. Like she's not tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not tiny, but like she's not like this like 6'5" brute. Like she's
a guard.
She's a guard. But she is. If you have not had the chance to see her play yet, it is fascinating to watch because I mean she's shooting 40-footers and they're not hitting the rim. It's pretty crazy.
This is what I would say, and here's my sexist comment about the difference between men's and women's basketball. And you don't see it is so apparent when you get into championship week in March Madness. After a men's game, when they interview a player, you have no idea what they're going to say.
Sure.
Whether it's going to sound like sentences, whether it's going to be anything. When they interview a women's player, she's going to speak in complete sentences. She's going to be articulate. She's going to be intelligent. It is night and day. The average GPA on these women's teams, I think, is like 3.7.
Sure.
The average GPA on men's teams, the men aren't even going to class.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think that like bigger institutions are going to class?
How about North Carolina?
I think they are.
Do they?
You don't think Duke's going to class?
Duke is.
Okay.
There are some.
You don't think Kentucky's going to class?
No.
Why?
Because they're Kentucky.
You don't. Okay. 15 years ago, you'd be exactly right. You don't think with everything that goes on now, you don't think these coaches are making these guys go to class? Really? You still think they're not? By the way, you may not know this. Oh my gosh, Luke May, Do you remember him? He hit the shot for North Carolina.
It wasn't Luke. Sean May.
No. Then I have his last name wrong. Sean May played for North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know. Maybe you have Luke May.
If Kyle was watching this, he would be killing me for getting his last name wrong. It might be Luke May.
You might be right.
I think it is. It's Luke May.
Because Sean had the big one against Villanova.
Luke May hit a shot against Kentucky in like the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. They ended up winning the championship that year.
Okay.
And there's video of like Luke May went to his 8 a.m. class the next day. So like he hit the game-winning shot. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
There are some that are really good students.
I think it's more than some now. I think now a lot of that stuff you have to, because now with all these coaches and everything, like it's about graduation rate and like grant money. And I'm just telling you.
They have these walk-ons who sit at the end of the bench.
I know that.
And their senior year, they give them a scholarship to make it look like they were a scholarship player.
I'm just saying.
An accounting degree.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying that might be a little more like 1995 than 2022. That's all I'm saying. In 2022, a lot of these dudes and a lot of these guys, like, it's different now.
You think?
I do. Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
This is too long and boring of a conversation for the people. We'll discuss this off the air, but I don't. I hope you're right.
I think I am.
This is what I will leave it at this. Watch the interview with the men after the men's games and watch the interview with the women's after the women's games.
But you think, yes, that's a completely different conversation. You think in today's wokeness, like in like cancel culture and wokeness and all this stuff, you think that there are professors in America that are willing to just like be okay with the fact that 15 basketball players aren't going to class? There's zero. No, not today. Not today. I don't think 15 years ago when like there was no social media and all that stuff, like yes. But now, like there's no way.
I think that there are certainly ones on each major campus, and all the basketball players sign up for that class, especially with remote classes, and especially. I think you're living in like a 90s sports movie. Like this, like I just don't think that's how it works anymore. I think it's much harder to get away with that than what it was. Why?
What do you mean why?
Why is it hard?
Because everyone's watching now. Everyone sees it now.
But who's turning in North Carolina when all their kids are taking the same African studies class
but you
in
don't,
summer?
I understand that. But you don't
class that doesn't exist.
I understand that. But you don't think that there are kids. Yeah, but that's a completely different thing. Like those, like that happened and they were charged and like they've dealt with it. Like on a normal college campus, like use like trying to think of an example. Like let's use Kentucky. Like let's use Kansas. Like let's use it. Like if I'm in a class with the starting point guard for Kansas, 15 years ago, I might not even know he's in the class. Okay. But now with like online group discussions and online enrollment and all this stuff, like I know if the top point guard in the country is in my 8 a.m. English literature class or not. Like I know.
But you know what grade he got.
That's not the point though. The point is that if I notice that like he just showed up to class for the first time in a month and a half, you don't think I'm tweeting that or putting it on TikTok or like putting it out for the world. Like the point I'm making to you is like, if these dudes aren't doing the things they're supposed to do, the world is going to know now. And 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. 15 years ago, if you didn't want to go to class and you were like a stud athlete, no one knew you were enrolled in the class. No one knew you were supposed to be there. No one knew where you were. Now everybody knows where you are. It's harder to get away with it.
But you don't think that the person who tweets out that pick a school's starting point guard doesn't come to their sociology class ever, you don't think that person's life is going to be miserable on campus after they make this public?
Miserable in what way?
That everyone on campus hates.
I think people would think it's funny. Like if someone walked in and a kid like took a picture and they tweeted like, first time I've seen so-and-so all semester, ... it's April, right? Like if someone like did that, I think people would think that's hilarious. People would think that's funny. But the point I'm making though, you don't think kids on campus would think that's funny.
Sleeping out in Krzyzewskiville trying to get tickets.
They would think it. But Duke, again, you keep using analogies that don't make, like you can't use Duke as the example.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
You don't think
here's the thing. Okay, so the kid has to. So the professor says you have to be in class 2 out of 3 days a week.
Okay.
Okay. Kid shows up in class. You have to be awake. Okay. I'm going to hand you exams. You are going to fill out the exams. Okay. I'm not giving you less than a C.
Okay.
How does
We're having two different conversations because you're talking about whether or not they'll pass the class. And listen, shit happens all the time. Like, that's okay. Like, what I'm saying to you is I have no doubt that there are kids that shouldn't get C's are getting C's, whether they play sports or don't play sports. Like, the whole grad system is a joke. Like, I know people going through grad school right now that, like, they turn stuff in 2 weeks late and get A's. They turn in stuff and, like, people don't even read it and they get A's. Like, no one has the time to actually be grading and doing this stuff. Professors aren't doing it all the time. They're just not. So people are just getting grades. So that I agree with. Do I think there's, okay, but do you think, like, eligible athletes just getting grades? 100%. I'm not debating you on that at all. What I am debating with you is, like, the cultural, how society or how your campus crowd views you or sees you has completely shifted than what it was 15, 20, 25 years ago. Back then, it was, like, cool to not show up to class. It was cool to be able to get away with stuff. Woke culture, cancel culture, call it whatever you want. If I am so-and-so in a study group and I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and I know for a fact the second quarterback, the starting lineman, the starting point guard isn't doing or being forced to do the things that I have to do, that is no longer cool in today's society. And there are tons of platforms in which to display that in a funny way that people will jump on board with you. It's very different than what it was 15 years ago. So
you think Alabama's football players are all going to class?
I do. I do, yes. Have you ever seen like the seminars and the stuff that they do for those kids? Like, not only do they have classes, they have, like, professional seminars, they have, like, marketing seminars, they have people come on and, like, go through all the interviewing process and stuff. Like, they're in class more than anybody. I bet you an Alabama football player actually sits in a classroom more than any other student on campus.
Yeah, but he's watching game film.
Well, that's part of it. He's watching game film. He's taking football seminars. He's taking marketing seminars. He's doing social media seminars. They're having some musician come in and talk to the group about how to handle fame. And on top of it, he's going to this class or doing that class. I'm telling you. Nobody's in a classroom more than an Alabama football player. I guarantee it.
All right, I disagree. We will find an Alabama football player to interview.
We could do that.
We'll start tweeting them.
We'll find them. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Thank you to Weiss Markets for being our sponsor. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all your local news.
I'm going to class.
I thought you were going to go to do the IHOP challenge is what I thought you were going to say.
No, I'm a little stuffed just thinking about it.
I bet you Kyle would rather be at class right now than doing the IHOP challenge.
And I would agree with you. I'm much more of a French toast guy than me.
He was the starting third baseman for North Carolina. Did he go to class?
Yeah, because baseball's not a revenue. Like, it's different.
Is it?
But I would be curious to see how many of the top, like, 50 college drafted baseball players graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to see graduation rates.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they matter now. And coaches know they matter now.
Don't.
Yes,
people don't care their graduation rate. People care if they win. There's never been a coach who lost. If if Patrick Ewing's graduation rate is 100%, he's still getting fired.
Well, yeah, because he's not winning.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's all that matters.
But you don't think if a coach is winning, but all of his kids are failing out, you don't think that's an issue? Like, you don't think it's getting brought up?
Graduation rate is 10%. You think they care?
I think he's lucky that most of his guys leave after a year or two. And thus he doesn't have to. Now, here's the other thing about John Calipari. I know for a fact, like, he actually invites kids back and, like, supports them coming back and getting their degree after they have left. Like, he has actually, like, helped guys come in and they have been able to use the gym while they got their degrees and credits in the summer. So, like, I know that's a thing for him.
Okay. And I can agree. You think Rick Pitino
I just think it's different. Well, no, but I think Rick Pitino's heyday was in, like, 1995. And so, like, this is the point I'm making to you. Like, I think this is like a cheesy, like, 90s movie issue. I don't think this is a 2022 thing anymore. I think these dudes go to class. I really do. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's a bad egg on every football team, but like the majority of them are showing up and sitting in class. I honest to God believe that. We'll see you guys tomorrow.